Alright, so recently I've been trying to figure out games that I can play with my two sons. One being 10, the other one being 4. So there's not, sometimes makes it a little difficult to find a common ground. But I did find these two games here Luigi's Mansion 3, which has a two-player mode, and Super Mario Odyssey, which also has a two-player mode. Now, both these games on their own are absolutely incredible. As single-player adventures, they are both really fun, highly recommend it, and just a blast, and of course, first-party Nintendo games, so what more could you ask for? And they look great, too. But how are they as a two-player experience, especially with little kids? Now, like I said, both me and my sons played through both these games. We did beat both of them, and I noticed that there was a significant favoritism towards Luigi's Mansion 3. Now, I'm thinking the reason why is because Luigi's Mansion 3, the two-player game, one player gets to play as Luigi, which is not just only a different version of Luigi, but also the fact that he can do different things that Luigi can't do. Like he can actually go through some of the some like bars and stuff like that, and like sewers and stuff like that that Luigi can't get to. So granted, he doesn't have the same amount of health, but he also can keep coming back as long as Luigi stays in the game. So while we were playing through Luigi's Mansion 3, my oldest son played as Luigi most of the time, with my youngest playing as Guigi, but they would from time to time take turns and switch, with me jumping in, just to kind of help with like boss fights and kind of pointing out pointers and stuff like that to try to beat certain sections that they might have been stuck on, because for the most part, it was me sitting back and just kind of, giving them some pointers and some ideas on what to do. But Luigi's Mansion 3 was so much fun. It was a blast, especially playing with my boys. And, it was cool going through the mansion, going through, figuring out the puzzles and beating the cool looking bosses, because each one had their kind of little, like, quirk that you had to, no, quirk, right? They each had their own little like little puzzle that you had to figure out. Plus, each floor in the mansion, was kind of like a different set, which was really cool, really nice. I really liked that, and I think Luigi's Mansion 3, they just did an all-out fantastic job with it. Now, jumping over to Super Mario Odyssey. This also is another fantastic game, first party Nintendo game. You play as Mario, and you go through all these different worlds, all these different adventures. They did a great job with how they incorporated just different themes, and how like they make there's certain scenes where Mario actually turns into like his old 2D self. They have the Mushroom Kingdom from um, you know Mario 64. They did a really good job with this game, and personally, between the two games, I think both games are absolutely amazing, and I think you can't go wrong with either one, especially in single player. And I keep going back and forth between which one I might give the slight edge to as far as single player goes, but I think single player wise, I have to give it to Mario Odyssey. There's just so much to do. Even after you beat the game, there's plenty of extra stuff you can go back to get, to do the moons and stuff like that. But Luigi's Mansion 3 had a very awesome, awesome game. Great, scenery, great graphics, just very fun. Now, as far as the two-player aspect of it goes, this one was not as much fun as Luigi's Mansion. So, the reasoning for it, at least from what I've gathered from talking to my kids, is, and from what I've seen, because like I said, we played the game, and granted, I'm letting them play most of it, and I'm just kind of sitting back and watching them play and kind of giving them pointers and stuff. But I do see the difference. Like, for example, with Luigi's Mansion, They did a pretty good job taking turns. Although a lot of the times they kind of had some disagreements about who was going to play Luigi, because obviously he was the new commodity. Everybody both kids wanted to play as him, and then they just came up with a compromise of taking turns. Now in Mario Odyssey, the hat was exciting for about 3 seconds, and then they realized that the hat can't really do anything. And if anything, playing 2 players in this game, Mario Odyssey, is far more frustrating than it is in Luigi's Mansion 3. Because in Mario Odyssey, there's a lot of parts where, there's plenty of parts where you kind of throw the hat and then jump onto it and jump onto a ledge or something like that. So if one, or like you might use the hat to turn into one of the bad guys, or one of the different things that you can turn into. Because, so like with that being said, there was a lot of frustration where, for example, you might be surrounded by bad guys, and then the person playing the hat might not be thinking the same way you are, and you might jump right, the hat goes left, and most likely leads to Mario dying. So there was quite a few little arguments that happened between the boys playing this game, whereas with Luigi's Mansion it did not happen. And when I asked them their opinion, single player wise, they liked Mario Odyssey slightly better than Luigi's Mansion 3. But multiplayer wise, they said that Luigi's Mansion was so much better. And it's because of what I said, where the hat doesn't do... It's not as much fun to control as it is to control Luigi. So, there you go, guys. This video is just a little something different, where it's almost like Luigi's Mansion 3 versus Mario Odyssey multiplayer. Which one has the better multiplayer? Is it Luigi's Mansion 3 or is it Mario Odyssey? And according to my boys and me, because I do agree with them, Luigi's Mansion 3 has the better multiplayer. So if you're at home and you have some young, maybe like a young niece and nephew, your own kids, and you're trying to keep them occupied, but you still want to play a game also, I recommend Luigi's Mansion 3. I think it's much more fun for both parties involved and less frustration. Whereas with Mario Odyssey, it might start off fun, especially since, you could turn it to the T-Rex and stuff like that, but it will quickly lose its appeal when you start trying to do some of the puzzles where you need the hat and Mario to work together. And sometimes it doesn't always work. And especially for the person that's playing the hat, a lot of the times my youngest was the one playing the hat, and I found him being extremely bored, because you pretty much just sit there and wait for Mario to tell you to, go on to this enemy or attack this enemy. So it got pretty boring for him. So honestly, I think you can't go wrong with either game single player wise. But if you're going to play multiplayer, I highly recommend Luigi's Mansion 3. I think it'll be more fun for everybody involved. And it's a great game to begin with also. So there you go, guys. Little my personal opinion on this. But like I said, as far as the multiplayer goes. Alright? So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you very much for watching. And I'll catch you in the next one.